Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and today we are actually joined by a little, I think they're called jelly cats. Anyway, a friend of mine gave it to me, so we are joined with my jelly cat. His name is Pigment, not Figment like the Disney version, it's Pigment. But the reason he's joining is because we are talking about a book called Dragon Along by Joseph John Lee. Now, this is actually book 2, The Dragons of Nora, number 2. And I did, when I realized this was book number 2, went ahead and ordered book number 1, which is called Upscaled. And I'll talk about Upscaled a little bit towards the end, but we'll dive into book number 1 or book number 2 since that's the one I'm reviewing and the one that I got from NetGalley. So let us dive into this super cute, definitely for me, it was middle grade YA fantasy. But here we go with the story. Sometimes the promise of a different story doesn't quite go the way you planned. After the adventure of a lifetime and hatching a dragon of his own, Camarian, I think that's how I said it when I was reading it in my head. Camarian, but it could be Camarain. So maybe Camarain. That could saying it out loud. That one sounds pretty good. Promises his mother that they won't be forced on the same journey his sister embarked on. That pledge appears to have happened a little too far. A bit too. For as much as Camarain's hatchling Brienne, loves to sit and read with him, they share neither the bond nor the friendship that Camarain's sister had with her dragon. So, that's kind of a little bit of a very long-winded sentence to, it says the pledge appears to have happened a bit too for. And that doesn't, a bit too for? I'm not really sure what that means, but when his grandparents invite the family to their new home outside the capital city of Moor, Camarain thinks the extent of his new story is getting rid of the belligerent gnome that has taken up residence in his grandparents' bathroom. At least until the gnome forms an instant rapport with Brienne. And I say Brienne because there's a little dash, a little haha. English language doesn't use it too much. So when I see that, I feel like I'm supposed to say that a little different than Brian. Like, that's why I'm saying it as Brienne instead of Brian, is because I'm not sure what that what that little haha little flick is. But that's why I'm saying it that way. That's how I pronounced it when I was reading the book. But the gnome forms an instant rapport with Brienne that leaves Camarain flummoxed and also quite jealous. If Camarain is to discover why he cannot form a bond with his new dragon, he must navigate the strange webs of Moor, spun by a secret scholarly society, a band of fae hunters, tours taking up too much space, and the banned book section at the local library. Evidently, the days of bonding over books and a cuppa have yet to make their way to the land of Nora. So, this is an ebook. I want to say, for that whole summary, my ebook was, of course, on my phone. Was about 141 pages. Not super long, and it's very light, fun, whimsical, and that's why I definitely put it into the middle grade YA category. And when I say YA, it's just because there is no spice, no romance. It's not going to be kind of bordering on the 16, 17, 18 with raging hormones sort of thing. It's kind of on the younger side of the YA realm, but I had a great time because I do pick up a lot of books which do push that envelope a little bit closer to the romantasy realm, and as much as that is fine, I do run across them frequently, and it's just nice to have a story and characters like roaming along and having a good time without having to muddy things up with their romance along the way. But it's expected June 3rd of 2025. And again, my ebook, now it doesn't list it here on Goodreads, but my ebook was about 141 pages. I give this some really pretty good stars, probably about a 4.25, because I really enjoyed it. Now, I do think book one, Upscaled, probably talks about how Cam's sister goes about getting her dragon, because there is a talk at the very beginning of this book about how apparently there were multiple dragon eggs. So I do feel as though we must have learned about the other dragon eggs, or at least one other dragon egg in that particular book, a little bit more to get us to the point where this scene first opens. So I did read this book without reading the first one, because it's not expected to be delivered to me from Amazon until like Monday, and I'm recording this on a Saturday. So I got myself actually put together because I'm supposed to go have dinner with some friends later. My hair is still a little damp, but it's doing okay. It's actually working really well for me. The humidity is not destroyed it yet. And when I say destroyed, made it fluffy. But it's a pretty tame adventure. It's delightful and fun and whimsical, but it's nothing like, we're not hanging from cliffs or scaling mountains or anything like that. It's not that serious. It's just this guy. I mean, he's a kid, and I'm trying to remember if we even kind of talk about, I mean, he's younger than his sister, so I would probably say like 12, 13, 14. He does seem quite precocious. He does seem as though he is constantly worrying his mother with his antics, and I think I did. So this particular person says, what's her name? Esme Rosalind. She's one of the first few reviewers, but just kind of like as I scroll through to make sure I kind of capture the things I want to talk about. She says, they say not to judge a book based on its cover, but I think dragging along would have to be an exception to that rule. And I completely agree. Not only is there a dragon, because I love the fantastical element of dragons, I also do have a dragon tattoo, and I think they're fun. So this super cute baby dragon on the cover of this book absolutely drew my attention. I didn't care if it was kids literature or kids fiction. Honestly, like I said, I have a great time with that genre because it doesn't, I guess, emotionally drain me or tug at my heartstrings or make me pine after characters or get frustrated too frequently at characters. These are kids having fun, and I do think this would be a great middle grade series to start if you have anyone in your life who could fit into that category. It's just charming. So throwing that out there, it is a little bit different than like what we kind of expect from dragon fantasy, because again, he doesn't really bond well with the dragon, or he doesn't bond with the dragon in the way that his sister, and it looks like her, well, I think in my head I said it was Ailis, but it's Ailis. And so I think in my head I was trying to say it was like Ailis, but that's his sister. And she does bond with her dragon, but it doesn't go the same way for Camarine. So he's feeling like something is more wrong with him, something's going on, what is happening, why, why doesn't it work the same way for me? And honestly, I mean, I think it's a really good point to remember is even in real life, no two things happen the same way for two people. And so we all have to experience them if we're going to, like bonding with dragons. Man, I would love that. I would really love that. I would say, well, since I didn't read Upscaled yet, I don't know how this venture compares to upscaled. Now, this particular person does say this one is a little bit more subdued, which is fine. I mean, again, I started with this one, so picking up the next one is probably going to be maybe more fast paced and fast actioned. But in 141 pages, we really did a lot of different things, and it kept me reading straight through the end. I think I finished it in just the morning. No, I finished it this morning. I'm sorry. I did finish it this morning. It was like my puppies got me up so early, it already feels like another day. So I finished it this morning over a cup of coffee. I'm now having more iced coffee, which my ice is already banished. But so this person also says that he's not as, like, Cameron's not as lively as his sister. Again, I have no real comparison, but I kind of like quiet, bookish people. I think growing up, I was a quiet, bookish person or kid, and you could frequently find me in the library with my nose stuck in a book, as still you can. So for me, I loved his little personality. I kind of liked that he was a little more subdued. Sorry, one of my puppies, Argos, was making some noise, so I was just kind of looking at him. Probably breathed wrong or something. Hairball. But I thought all the characters were really great. I am dedicated to reading that first book because, again, this book was cute and witty. Like, the dialogue was fun. It wasn't too childish the way some can be. We've got a lot, like, some chaos, especially with the gnome in the house, in the bathroom. So that's always really fun. Let's see. I'm trying to think. So I'm just kind of previewing to see. Now, this person, if you want a tongue-in-cheek fantasy in the vein of T. Kingfisher, middle grade books, but with a bit more Pratchett-esque satire, then I can't recommend The Dragons of Nora Duology highly enough. Okay. So it throws in Kingfisher, who I love, T. Kingfisher, and Terry Pratchett, both of who have very good, they have very strong voices in the realm of fantasy. And I'm not quite sure, Mr. Joseph John, is it Joseph John Lee? Let's go back real quick. I just want to make sure I get his name right. Yes, Joseph John Lee. I'm not sure if he's quite there when it comes to T. Kingfisher and Terry Pratchett, but you know what? Maybe that's why I like the whimsy of it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It lets it be fanciful. It lets it be fun. We can just imagine this new world with new things going on that doesn't really encroach into our modern day, in real life days. And I like that. There was another book that I read that I'm going to review. If I haven't reviewed it, then I need to review it. But I felt like even though it was fantasy, it tried to stay too close to reality, and I just prefer more. If you're going to be fantasy, be fantastical. The sky is the limit when it comes to creating these worlds. But if you're going to stay in reality and just make it magical realism, then make it magical realism, which, in my personal opinion, can be a little bit more difficult to get right. I think it's a very fine line of crossing over between those two. Now, one thing I did say at the beginning of this video was that I was going to pull up a little blurb about Upscaled. So, let us see just real quick. It says, from the author of the emotionally devastating epic fantasy series, The Spellbinders. Well, now I think I gotta read that. And The Gunslingers comes, well, the complete opposite of that. It begins and ends, as all things do, with a girl throwing a birthday party for a dragon. Or it would, if things were that simple. Generations ago, the Inquisition of the Priory of the thrice dead prophet decided that dragons were a great evil, and it was their duty to banish them from the land of Nora. The dragons weren't. They just grew tired of the bother and migrated north. And the Inquisition didn't. They just pretended otherwise, and that's beside the point. Though evidence of dragons still existed, it remained within the realm of smugglers, ne'er-do-wells, and people with too much time on their hands, too much time and money on their hands, until a hatchling egg finds its way into the hand of a young girl named Ilis. And that's how I'm just pronouncing it because that's how I guess I interpret it. So it does seem as though this one is more Ilis's book. The first one is upscaled, and then this one is more based on Cameron, who is her younger brother. I think it's cute. So it does seem as though, at least according to this particular other person, that it's a duology. And according to Joseph John Lees about the author, it does say the Dragons of Nora duology. So we don't get any more, but man, it would be so cute to explore this world just a little bit more. In my personal opinion, that's just what I think. But I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I'm going to take my pups out for a walk and go check the mail, and then I will see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.